ado, I would like to introduce the first speaker, Tim Worthington, Director Zurelli. Tim is the co-founder of Zurelli.com, the largest global portal for sustainable products and services, and he also conceptualized the Green Talk series. He is himself a great supporter of sustainable and eco-friendly products and has worked for businesses dealing in sustainable products. He has taken the experience a step further by incorporating sustainable materials in the construction of his own house. Tim will be setting the stage today for today's Green Talks by sharing some insights on why green is the new black. Thank you, Tim.
There are more people alive today on the planet than have ever died. That is a huge challenge for the generations going forward. Wrong way. Enough of the sun's energy hits the Earth every 48 hours to power the globe for an entire year, which is a huge opportunity. 800 tons of plastic gets poured into our oceans every day, which is a complete disgrace. So my talk today is green is the new black, and black I mean profit. So we're not talking about doing what's right for the world, though that's obviously important. We're doing what's right for our bottom line, making money out of being green by doing the right thing. I'm going to start with a sort of global perspective as I see it. And within that, probably a slide that would surprise you really. Texas is not known for its green credentials. It's been pumping oil for more than 200 years. But however, it is the greenest state in America in the way of producing electricity. So why is Texas standing on a lake of oil producing more green energy than any other state in America? And it's not Donald Trump's eco-friendly agenda, the green warrior of the White House. It's not him. It's all down to economics. It is now cheaper for Texas to make electricity from renewables than it is from oil. So they're doing it not necessarily for the right reason, but they're doing it for a reason that actually makes economic sense. And that's nothing new. This young lad, back in the 70s, which is me, with a highly dodgy haircut and an even dodgier shirt, we used to cycle around the area of the neighbourhood and we would pick up glass bottles. Not because we were some sort of eco-warrior, but we could take those to the local sweet shop and convert them to cash. And from cash we could convert into miles cards. So the idea of actually making money out of being green is nothing new. I'm called a part of the baby boomers, and I think we've probably got some millennials here, and we've got some Zeds and some strawberries, and God knows what else we're all called these days. But I call myself a part of the BP generation, before plastics. Because when I was a child, plastics didn't exist. So in 40 years, we have become addicted to plastic. So what are the market forces that are playing within the F&B sector and within the economy in general? Well, if we look at some of these names, all these companies have something in common that the people out here don't. They all have massive marketing budgets, they can do research on demographics, on changing buying patterns, and they can do all that. And all of these companies, Starbucks now reducing straws, KFC now got a green logo, they've invented or introduced their first green restaurant in Malaysia last year. McDonald's also going green, Burger King. Iceland and the UK have stopped all plastics that isn't recyclable, or Waitrose have stopped the use of all one-time coffee cups. So all these companies are making a change to go green, and they're doing it for commercial reasons, as well as environmental. Because they know the buying habits of people are changing. People are becoming more green, and actually green is where they need to be. Social responsibility. Well, young people today are far more socially responsible than we were as my generation. We didn't even know what environmentalists were when I was a kid. So the demographics are changing, people are wanting to become more green, and that is why the big companies are promoting and trying to make sure they keep market share and they're actually driving their businesses forward. Media. Well, we've never had so much media as we have now. We have it on our phones, we have it on our radios, our TVs, and the growth of environmental stories has grown exponentially over the last 20 years. So again, we are being fed with more environmental knowledge than we ever have before, and that's driving change. Corporate goals. McKinsey did a survey that 57% of all corporates around the world now have sustainability as a part of their long-term strategy. And that's a huge change in the last 10 years. But why would a corporate want to go green? What's the benefit of creating a green office with good air, with good lights, with plants? Well, for them, it's all a matter of economics. Because if you have a nice environment to work and live, you don't miss so many days off being sick. You actually improve productivity. You retain your staff better. And all those have an impact on their bottom line, and all are reasons that they are going black because of green. Unilever is a case in point. 9 years ago, it appointed a new Chief Operating Officer, or Executive Officer, with a green agenda. They're a big F&B company, as you all know, and over the last 8 years, their profits have grown year on year. So by embracing green, they're increasing their profits. Government, and we have some government people here. So what's government's role in all of this? Well, twofold really. They have the carrot and the stick. And by the carrot, I would use the example of subsidies for solar panels, which they've introduced over the last few years, which have now become less. It helped kickstart the whole solar industry. The stick, well, one-time use plastic bags. More than 70 countries now have banned it. Malaysia is thinking about it. The reason that they do it, case in point, Botswana, for instance. Cows eat plastic bags and die. Agriculture accounts for 80% of their GDP. So it makes financial sense for these countries to change their habits. The cost of not being sustainable. Well, it's put somewhere in $2–3 trillion to clear up the mess that we've already created, which on the one hand is an opportunity because you can make money out of clearing it up, but it's a hell of a price to pay, really, that the mess that we've got ourselves into. If we look at the F&B industry, 30% of food is not used globally, and Malaysia's no exception. So we have 3,000 tonnes of perfectly good food going in the bin every day. So if we can reduce that wastage, if we can actually reduce that, we can improve our bottom line on our balance sheets. The F&B industry accounts for 30 to 40% of all waste going into landfill elimination. So there's a huge necessity to actually make change, and the market is very much for change. Investors. Investors like green. If you're investing in a company, you want to make sure that it has a long-term future. And a case in point would be 3 options. Now, I don't know if any of you around the tables here have a spare $100 million, but if you did, you could look at building a nuclear power station that would give you a return in 10 to 12 years, or a fossil fuel power station that would give you a return in 8 to 10 years, or a solar farm that would give you a return between 18 months and 2 years. So even the sovereign wealth funds are changing. So what we've actually got is a whole industry and a whole sector, the whole environment that we work in is changing towards green for commercial reasons as well as environmental. And that's a huge opportunity for all of us to get on that bandwagon and actually promote green as a way of promoting profits. So we have a choice. We either bury our head in the sand and pretend these changes aren't happening, or we embrace the change and make it profitable for our own businesses. And with profit, we can then expand and we can do more good. Without profits, we can do nothing. So on that note, I will leave you in peace and hand over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tim. for highlighting that green can also be make good business sense.